Good morning, everybody. This is Diane in Plant-Based Dallas, and it is a beautiful rainy Saturday morning, and Pat and I are getting ready to get on the road, take a little road trip, but we needed to get some good food before we left. So I am going to make this morning a potato tofu scramble. And I've looked at a couple of different recipes, and they all seem to have the same thing. So what I have here in my skillet ready to go, I took out some frozen cooked blanched kale. I had some mushrooms. I had some cooked potatoes. I've got some bell peppers, red, yellow, green, a sprinkle of fresh jalapeno, 4 cloves of garlic that I cut up not really fine. They're sort of chunky. And what else is in here? I think that's it. Onions, kale, mushrooms, peppers, and potatoes. So I'm first going to heat this pretty high to get the potatoes sort of crunchy. Everything else really does not need to be cooked that long. And I have my tofu here. Used a little bit in a dessert earlier this week, and I needed to use this up. So it says just to crumble it in it after you've cooked it. Spices that I'm going to use after I've cooked it, my favorite chipotle powder, delicious. And then of course, you know me, my smoked paprika. We're going to use some turmeric in it. And cumin. We'll season it at the last with salt and pepper, but then another additive in most of these dishes that they use is the nutritional yeast, and you put that in at the very end. I'm also adding at the very end some of my fresh tomatoes out of the garden because I have so many tomatoes and I need to find uses for them. So we'll add at the last minute the fresh tomatoes. As you can see, when you make a scramble, and this is called the tofu scramble, it doesn't really matter what you put in it. I checked a couple recipes, and you can, if you have asparagus you want to put in it, or broccoli, it really doesn't matter. It's the seasonings and the spices that make it really what it is. So you really can't go wrong when you do any kind of scramble. So I'm getting it hot right now, and I think while I wait for that to cook, I'm going to crumble up the tofu. Getting a nice little rain right now in Dallas. A well-needed rain. And let's see if you can see me crumble this. I've already squeezed all the juice out of this tofu by wrapping it in a dish towel, and then setting a heavy pan or a book or something on it to squeeze more of the juice out. Okay, I'm not going to crumble it too small because I think I'd like to have a few chunks left in it, but here's how I have it right now. That's the rest of the tofu that we're going to add. Okay, let me wash my hands real quick. And if you have your veggies prepped in your refrigerator, these scrambles take no time at all. I am in dire need of rechopping and spending a morning prepping all veggies because we've had extra people here in the house lately, and we're going through the food a lot faster than normal. Alrighty, so I'm just sort of turning over those potatoes. Let's turn this up a little bit and cook it really high. This is pretty quick because, again, all these vegetables have been cooked except for the smaller peppers and onions, so this should cook fairly fast. Okay, I'm going to also go ahead and start adding my seasonings. Chipotle powder. Turmeric, it's going to give it a nice little shade of orange. A little bit of cumin. And a little bit of the smoked paprika. So y'all can tell I don't use a recipe. I'm going to do it to taste. So once I've cooked it, I'm going to taste it a little bit more, see what I think it needs, and add more. I'm not going to add the nutritional yeast till the very end. A little bit of pepper. And a little bit of salt. Whoops. Alrighty, now I have a jar here full of some water in case I feel like I need some water. It's looking good. Ooh, boy, does it smell good. I wish y'all could smell it through this video. The smoked paprika and the smoked chili powder. Ah, that smells good. Okay, so it looks to be cooked enough. I'm going to go ahead and put in the tofu. And I didn't do anything to that tofu other than press the liquid out. You want to make sure you get the extra firm tofu when you're working with any kind of scramble or you're cooking it or baking it, because it does tend to fall apart. So you see I'm trying to stir gently. I don't want huge chunks in there, but that is some good protein. You want to make sure that your tofu is always organic and non-GMO. Remember, tofu is made from soybeans, and the two products, corn and soybeans, they make the most GMO. It's hard to find non-GMO corn. In fact, most of the corn that you get fresh on the cob, on the ears, is GMO corn. So before you buy any fresh corn on the cob, be sure and ask the produce manager if this is GMO corn, because most likely it is. Even Sprouts, when I check it at Sprouts, it's always GMO corn. The only place really to find organic corn is in the frozen food section in your stores, and I just buy it frozen, and it's hard to find the non-GMO corn. Okay, this is looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and dump in my homegrown tomatoes, and this scramble is pretty much done. And there you go, there's your tofu scramble, and it looks sort of like eggs. I don't know that anybody would know the difference if you served it to them. And a whole lot healthier. No saturated fat, no cholesterol, just good, clean plants, healthy for everybody. Okay, there you go. Y'all have a great Saturday. Goodbye from Plant-Based Dallas.